Joining us now, Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw of Virginia. He's a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, welcome back to the weekend. So for me, everything old is new again. This is 2026.
Yeah.
Exactly 20 years ago, in 2006, Democrats ran against the, quote, culture of corruption. Howard Dean, who was the Democratic Party chair at the time, was the first one to use it. Nancy Pelosi latched onto it and roared Democrats to taking over the majority in 2006. I have often said that 2026 reminds me of 2006, just in the way we're talking about the upcoming midterms. Do you see the culture of corruption being a message that Democrats can run on in 26 and win on in 26?
It's also hilarious to look at 2006, what was happening, and that being so much corruption is very quaint times.
Right, just
compared to
an
now.
Indicted member of Congress and
Small things.
Small things.
Yeah, that's right. I think it has the potential to be a very powerful message for us for a couple of reasons. One, there's a hypocrisy, right? Donald Trump said he was going to drain the swamp. We now know he's $4.5 billion at least wealthier than he was when he came into office. He is the swamp. I also think increasingly people feel, and we talk a lot about the Epstein files issue around this table, people feel like there's a different set of rules for the wealthy and the well-connected, especially in Washington. And our effort is going to be to take that to the voters between now and November. I think it can be very powerful, and it cuts across party lines. It's not a partisan issue. Democrats, independents, Republican voters across the country fed up with the corruption of the Trump administration and some in Congress.
How do you make that connection for voters? Because they are very busy. They got a lot going on. They are, some of them, working gig jobs that they never thought they'd have to do before. The rent is too high. They have a lot going on. So how do you make the connection between the fact that they have less money in their pockets nowadays, and the corruption that you and your colleagues say you're going to investigate if you win the House in November?
Well, we took a vote on the House floor this past week to commemorate the passage of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. My Republican colleagues were celebrating it. But I think that's going to be Exhibit A, because while Republicans were voting to slash health care, take health care away from hardworking American people, why did they do that? To give a tax cut to the wealthiest Americans, the well-connected Americans. So this corruption directly impacts people's day-to-day lives, pocketbooks, the conversations they have around the kitchen table.
I have kind of an annoying question for you.
Oh, good. Great.
There is no shortage of really serious issues that Democrats are going to have to investigate, from the president's family members benefiting from the war potentially, to the Epstein files, to some of these pretty sketchy mergers that are currently taking place, to the White House ballroom.
Yeah.
I mean, are there conversations happening right now to staff up the Oversight Committee and sort of the committees that have jurisdiction over these investigations by Democrats? And then two, something like the White House ballroom, which I think is a little less clear to voters why that is an issue and why it's so important. I think there are some voters who look at it and are like, that is just the White House. It is where the work gets done, and they don't necessarily understand all of the outrage and how it connects to their lives. And so when you're sort of making the list of priorities of what Democrats are going to attack right away, is something like that up there?
To your first question, in terms of are we staffing up and preparing, the answer is yes. We already have an incredible team of investigators and staff on the Oversight Committee working with Democrats. We'll expand that if we're in the majority. I think the key in terms of
how much? Double the staff?
The staff, yeah.
That was an issue for Republicans when I covered them when they took the majority under James Comer, and they didn't have the capacity to follow through on a lot of things.
I'm confident we'll have the capacity, and we've been laying the groundwork, right? We're preparing these investigations already. You saw Jamie Raskin's letter to Jared Kushner, letters that Oversight Democrats have sent to make sure that there's a paper trail already and investigations ready to go. In terms of prioritization, I think the important thing is and will be that we not get bogged down in procedural disputes, right? Whether the committee that approves the ballroom or doesn't approve the ballroom is appropriately managed, and all of those procedural arcana were followed, right? The key is connecting it to the American people's lives, right? So while you're struggling to pay for gas, while you're struggling to pay for groceries. While you're struggling to put your kids into college or pay your rent and a mortgage, Trump's focused on building a golden ballroom for his wealthy buddies.
From an accountability perspective, is something like the ballroom important?
Anytime if a law is broken, if a policy is broken, there's going to need to be accountability around that.
I just want to read something from John Ossoff at the rally in Georgia yesterday that sort of ties all of this up. He said, and remember, while you pay more for everything, the First Family's wealth is growing by billions of dollars because they're crooks. And everybody knows it. That's a quote from Senator John Ossoff of Georgia. But I bring that up because I wonder if that sentiment that the senator has expressed is what's driving the early turnout numbers in Virginia. There's a headline from Friday. Early voting for Virginia redistricting special election drives high turnout. And they're seeing turnout as high as it was for the Virginia governor's race. One, will the referendum pass? Two, are you voting for it? And three, what does this bode, do you think, for 26?
One, I believe the referendum will pass. I don't think it will be a blowout, but I think it will pass. Two, I've already voted for it. I voted early.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago. And three, I think when you look at the turnout numbers, look, I won a special election in Virginia in September. We had record turnout for that special election. Governor's race in November, we had record turnout and a record margin. So we continue to see that in Virginia. Why? Because the Trump administration has attacked Virginia more than any other state. Fired tens of thousands of Virginians, attacked our federal workers, closed small businesses. Virginia has been on the front lines of the Trump administration's assault and abuse. And voters, every opportunity they've had, my special election, November election, Abigail Spanberger, I believe on Tuesday, Virginia voters are coming out and sending a very strong statement in terms of how they feel about that. And the Republican Congress has either sat silently or waved their pom-poms while the Trump administration has attacked Virginia.
I'm going to get in trouble, Congressman, but both Jackie and I on Bondi. She was supposed to come, the former Attorney General, this week. She is not. What are Democrats doing about it?
Well, we sent a letter to Chairman Comer this week asking him what is the status of the negotiations and the conversations between him and Pam Bondi and her lawyers. He claims that he is working with her lawyers to try to schedule a date. If that's happening, it has been in complete private. It's radio silence. We don't know. I hope he's in good faith working to enforce the committee's subpoena. That's his responsibility as chairman of the committee, a bipartisan subpoena. We're going to continue to press him and press her to follow the law and comply with the subpoena.
Congressman James Walkinshaw, thank you so much. We are going to come back because we have some breaking news coming next on Iran. You'll want to watch that.